The story of the two gentlemen of Verona. All happiness bechance to thee. Amid the splendor and decadence of the 1980s Milan, a deep story of deeper love unfolds. Young friends Proteus and Valentine bid each other farewell as Valentine prepares to set off to the bright and brilliant city of Milan. Though Valentine wishes his friend were coming with him on his new adventure, Proteus has decided to stay in their hometown of Verona to be with his love, Julia. The best laid plans are followed when Proteus's parents, Antonio and Pantina, decide that it is their wayward son's best interest to follow in Valentine's footsteps and serve in the Duke of Milan's court. Proteus and Julia say goodbye to each other tearfully before Proteus reluctantly leaves Verona with his servant, Launce, and Launce's dog, Crab, in tow. Meanwhile, in Milan, Valentine has fallen in love with Silvia, the daughter of the Duke of Milan. However, the arrogant Turio is also vying for Silvia's heart. Eventually, after some nudging from his page Speed, Valentine realizes that Silvia feels the same way about him. The two share a quiet moment together, only to be interrupted by news of Proteus's arrival. Proteus and Valentine have a joyous reunion, and Valentine, who once scorned the idea of love, now eagerly tells Proteus about his plans to run away with Silvia and get married. However, Proteus is also immediately smitten by Silvia, and he'll stop at nothing to win over her heart. This threefold perjury. Back in Verona, a heartbroken Julia, who is determined to see her beloved Proteus again. With the help of her servant Lucetta, Julia comes up with a plan to disguise herself as a man and follow Proteus to Milan. At the same time, Proteus breaks Valentine's trust and his vow to Julia by going to the Duke of Milan and informing him of Valentine's intention of eloping with Silvia. Enraged, the Duke confronts Valentine and banishes him from Milan. With Julia now rapidly approaching Milan and Proteus shamelessly wooing Silvia in Valentine's absence, will these two couples find their way back to each other? Or will these two foolhardy gentlemen of Verona prove as inconstant as the uncertain glory of an April day? Director's notes for the two gentlemen of Verona. Welcome to Bard, and thank you for joining us for our production of The Two Gentlemen of Verona. This marks my fourth time working with this play. I began my directing career at Bard in 2001 with the company's first production of The Two Gentlemen of Verona, an 18th century inspired staging with big costumes, big wigs, big emotions, and a big heart. My next encounter with the play was in 2017 when Scott Bellis, longtime friend and founding company member, directed a fantastic production that found a more satisfying ending for this tale of youthful folly and love. As one of Shakespeare's earliest works, The Two Gentlemen of Verona is often considered his first play. Its themes, passionate young love, impulsive decisions, and all-or-nothing stakes of youth, resonate deeply. Reflecting on Shakespeare's early years led me to reminisce about my own, the wild energy of the 1980s. In 2018, while working on this play with Theatre Calgary's Shakespeare by the Bow, we first conceived the idea of setting it in the 1980s. Now we fully embrace that vision, not just as a nostalgic indulgence, but as a fresh way to explore the play's themes. For those who share my fondness for the 80s, whether you lived through it or enjoy its cultural resurgence in film, television, and social media, this production is for you. We've drawn inspiration from iconic films like Pretty in Pink, Weekend at Bernie's, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, The Breakfast Club, and Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Our incredible design team has woven the quintessential 80s references from fashion to a soundtrack packed with classic hits that will have you humming long after the show ends. It has been a joy to collaborate with this extraordinary company of artists, on stage and off. Their energy, talent, and dedication have allowed me to revisit, celebrate, and share the complexities of being young in the 1980s. Huge thanks to Scott Bellis, Allison Matthews, Robinson Wilson, Jenna Turk, Kathy Saborski, Hasem Kadri, and Dietrich Kalin for their invaluable contributions. Finally, I would like to thank Christopher for his many years of support and friendship. A true gentleman. We hope you enjoy this show as much as we've loved creating it. Now, sit back and experience William Shakespeare's The Two Gentlemen of Verona. Behind the scenes of The Two Gentlemen of Verona, Carmen Alatorre, costume designer. The costume design for this production of The Two Gentlemen of Verona explores the exciting and often contrasting styles of the 1980s Western fashion. Instead of sticking to one trend, this era mixed many playful and bold ways of dressing throughout the decade. These design ideas are inspired by a variety of iconic music artists and TV characters who played an important role in shaping their generation. The design concept will showcase hints of many of these trends, such as geometric looks and fabrics made popular by the artists of the New Wave movement, with their contrast of bright and dark colors, futuristic touches. The rebellious spirit of punk culture, with its ripped clothes, safety pins, and do it yourself feel, will also be present. These will be mixed with other more preppy styles, with pastel toned oversized shirts, shoulder pads, cable knit sweaters, and classic sportswear, as well as elements from the influence of early Madonna, such as lace and layered jewelry. The romantic style of movies like Pretty in Pink, with its focus on vintage clothes, soft colors, and creative layering, will provide another source of inspiration. The costume design will also recreate iconic 1980s big hairstyles, such as mullets and crimped hair. Of course. Pam Johnson, set designer. I was thrilled to be asked to design The Two Gentlemen of Verona, as it's one of the few plays of Shakespeare's canon that I have not yet designed. It's always intriguing to read a story based on friendship and then witness the betrayal of that friendship. Dean's setting of the show in the 1980s took me down a path that was vaguely familiar, but not a period that I readily recall. I was in my 30s then, and very busy forging my career, too busy to peek my head out of a dark theater to see what fun was happening in the world. My recollection of the 80s was hard work and AIDS, which was raging through the theater community at the time. So it was a delight to explore the exciting times of the 80s, the pop culture, the movies, the music. I tried to draw on some of the grandeur of Dynasty along with the frivolity of Weekend at Bernie's and the crazy fun of Back to the Future. See if you find the nods of those shows. As always, I don't do this alone. Bard has an amazing team of technical wizards, constructive carpenters, and enchanting painters and illusionary prop artists. Throw in some enlightening lighting, some catchy tunes, and some gnarly costumes, and you have a rad show. The cast of The Two Gentlemen of Verona in alphabetical order. Launce, Scott Bellis. Ursula, outlaw, courtier, Jennifer Clement. Lucetta, outlaw, courtier, Stephanie Davis. Julia, Tess Dagenstein. Duke, Sheldon Elter. Antonio, outlaw, courtier, Craig Erickson. Outlaw, courtier, Paige Fraser. Crab, Mason. Pantina, outlaw, courtier, Christy Hansen. Valentine, Matthew Ip Shaw. Eglamour, Karthik Kadam. Proteus, Jacob Leonard. Sylvia, Agnes Tong. Outlaw, courtier, Jennifer Tong. Speed, Angus Yam. Turio, Tanner Zare. Understudies. For Duke, Scott Bellis. For Lucetta, outlaw, courtier, Paige Fraser. For Speed, Turio, Karthik Gadam. For Ursula, Pantina, Outlaw Courtier, Jennifer Lines. For Lance, Antonio, Outlaw Courtier, Eglamour, David Marr. For Sylvia, Julia, Jennifer Tong. For Valentine, Angus Yam. For Julia, Cynthia Yusuf. For Proteus, Tanner Zare. For Crab, Taj. Director, Dean Paul Gibson. Choreographer, Nicole Spinola. Fight Director, Jonathan Hawley Purvis. Intimacy Director, Lisa Goebel. Set Designer, Pam Johnson. Associate Set Designer, Ryan Cormack. Costume Designer, Carmen Alatorre. Lighting Designer, Gerald King. Composer and Sound Designer, Malcolm Dow. Assistant Lighting Designer, Jillian White. Head Voice and Text Coach, Allison Matthews. Vocal Coach, Alana Hawley Purvis. Apprentice Directors, Nikki Anderton, Christopher Lamb. Apprentice Costume Designer, Parker Feenstra. Production Stage Manager, Joanne P.B. Smith. Assistant Stage Manager, Yvonne Yip. Apprentice Stage Manager, Caroline Tang. Mason Handler, Jennifer Gaze. Assistant Mason Handler, Jackie Jameson. Taj Handler, Annika Ing.